Hello, I'm Elizabeth Berry, and today I want to talk about media literacy. Now, before we get started, for full disclosure, when creating this, I did use the OER Commons Digital Learning Access Barriers and Opportunities by Jennifer Manning, and that is linked down below. Now, when we look at this source, it does align with some standards, not really the Common Core or Arkansas State standards that we might think of when we're looking in the classroom, but rather the ISTE standards. And so we have 1.2 Digital Citizen, 1.7 Global Collaborator, and 1.1 Empowered Learner. And we'll get a little bit more into that here in just a minute. So if we're looking more into those standards, standard number 1.2 Digital Citizen says students recognize the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of living, learning, and working in an interconnected digital world. Standard 1.7 Global Collaborator states students use digital tools to broaden perspectives and enrich learning by collaborating, or as we know, working with others. And we do know that collaboration can take, it doesn't just look just one way. It can show up in many different ways. And standard 1.1 Empowered Learner. Students leverage technology to take an active role in choosing, achieving, and demonstrating competency in their learning goals. Students are using that technology to really hold themselves accountable and take an active part in their learning. So before we really get into this, I want you to stop and think for just a second. We live in a time of a lot of social media, lots of different platforms. So I just want you to think about your own personal social media usage. How many pictures do you, or if you are not really on social media, someone you know, post to social media? How often do you post to social media? Is it daily, weekly? Maybe more than once a day, maybe depends on the platform. But I want you to think, how many pictures or other posts do you typically post? I also want you to think about, how do you decide which pictures to post? Do you just take a picture and throw it up onto Instagram? Do you just think a thought and put it out onto Facebook? And do you share some pictures or posts with only specific people? Do you utilize that close friends feature on Instagram? Do you block certain people from your Facebook posts? Is your Twitter, or what is now known as X, account set to private where only selected people can see it? I want you to think about those things for just a minute, and as we continue to go through this. So starting out, what is even media? Well, media is the plural form of the word medium. And a medium is a way for us to communicate not face-to-face. So such as this, we are communicating through a medium. We're not talking face-to-face. We are not here with each other, but we are communicating. I'm communicating my words to you. This can range from text messages to books, from music to Instagram, any way that people are communicating some idea or thought, as long as it, again, is not face to face, that is a form, that is a media. And not a media, that is a medium. And media, like we said, is that plural form of medium. Let's have a quick little look at what media literacy is.
There is no doubt that people, children especially, learn from all the media that they see, hear, and experience. And we are surrounded by media. TV, apps, websites, video games, magazines, news sites, signs, digital billboards, packaging, radio, social media, and all kinds of advertising. The average kindergartner sees about 70 media messages every day. By the time they're in high school, teens are spending more than 1/3 of their day using media. Few of us fully understand how the media we interact with affects us and our society. So how do we sort through the noise? The key is media literacy. Media literacy is a set of skills that helps people, not just youth, analyze the content of media messages that they receive and that they send. To apply media literacy skills, we can ask 5 key questions. Who created this message?
Diets are hard, but Sensa's as easy as shake, eat, and lose weight. Even the largest
What creative techniques are used to attract my attention?
lost an average of 30.5 pounds with Sensa.
Consumers were casually urged to shake their Sensa and lose 30, 40, 90 pounds or more without dieting or exercise. Each of these cases resulted in a settlement with the FTC. The companies were ordered to pay consumer redress and to back any future weight loss claims with well-conducted human clinical studies. Some of them have lost no weight, and they've had these medical improvements, and they've had these life improvements, these life freedom improvements, without losing weight.
And why is this message being sent? This powerful key unlocks a world that empowers all of us to be better digital citizens as we consume media, produce, and share our own stories. What would it feel like to live in this world? Perhaps we'd have less fear, more empathy, and make better decisions. So how do we create this world? We each have a role to play. First things first, every child needs media literacy skills. We can all advocate for media literacy education with teachers, administrators, parents, librarians, and government. If each of us makes a practice of using the 5 key questions for media literacy in all our activities and with all of the people we encounter, we'll all move closer to the more positive and well-informed civic engagement that we want and deserve. There is no doubt that people, children especially,
So it's important to remember some things when we were talking about media. Media is constructed. It is made by an individual or a group of people, and it is made for a reason. Even something as simple as an Instagram post, there is a reason behind it. And that is something we need to think about when we are looking at these different forms of media. Media is also made to communicate. It's made to communicate ideas or to make its audience think or feel a certain way, going back to there's a reason behind it. And as media consumers, which we all are, if we are on YouTube, if we are on these social media sites, we are media consumers. We need to think critically about what it is we're taking in. We need to analyze media and think about its impact on us and the world as a whole. So some important words for us to know when we are discussing media. One is gatekeeper, and that's a word that, depending on your demographic, you may have heard a lot of, and it is related to kind of what you would hear on something like TikTok. A gatekeeper, that refers to how information is filtered and delivered. Gatekeepers are the ones that control how messages in media are consumed. They control how they're put out. So, like when you might hear someone be referred to like, oh, they were gatekeeping this hot new makeup product. They were controlling it from being put out there. Bias. And bias is a usually unfair prejudice for or against one thing as opposed to another. And a lot of times that is you're going into a situation, you've already got this bias, you already have this prejudice before you've really had a chance to have your mind made up. And then stereotypes. Stereotypes are commonly held, but usually overly simplified ideas of a certain type of thing or person. So let's analyze a post. Let's look at an Instagram post. I think a lot of us probably know Taylor Swift. So I want you to take I want you to pause this video just for a minute or two, and I want you to look at this Instagram post, and I want you to think about what it is do you notice, and what do you think was her reason for making this post. So I want you to pause for just a minute and go ahead and do that. All right, let's take a look together. So if we look up here, we see there's the blue check mark from Instagram, and that tells us this is real. This is actually Taylor Swift herself. So this isn't a fan account. This isn't some spam account. It is the legitimate Taylor Swift. So that tells us that it is probably pretty reliable, at least when we're talking about her. We also see there's all these covers on the ground around her. And if you are a Taylor Swift fan, you would know that these are her albums, all that were made prior to her being able to actually own her masters. These were her first. There's her debut album, her Fearless album, all the way up to Reputation. If you were keeping up with pop culture in around 2018, 2019, you know that she really got into it with one of her producers about owning her masters. And these were the masters that she didn't own. And here very recently, we know she's been re-releasing those albums as Taylor's version. But if you're looking at these are not the Taylor's version, because she's already done several of them. These are the original ones. We look down here and we can see the hearts that are in the different colors. Typically these colors are, we know, well, I say we know. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, you know that these colors are kind of associated with those albums that are laid out in front of her in the same order. And we have the caption, "You Belong With Me," which is a very popular Taylor Swift song and lyric. And so if we put that all together, that it's officially her, that here are these albums, the colors, and then that lyric, "You Belong With Me," we can take that to mean, and many people did, and then it also was confirmed that Taylor was able to buy back her masters. And so she made this post. This post wasn't just a fun little post. It was great for her fans, and I'm sure she loved posting it. But it also was to share the fact that she owned her masters again. So now it's your turn. We did one together. I want you to go to your favorite social media platform. Maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's X, formerly and still commonly known as Twitter. And I want you to pick a post. It could be from someone famous, it could be from your best friend, or it could even be your own post. I want you to analyze the material found in that post. What is the poster trying to communicate with you, the audience? And if you're looking at your own post, I want you to really critically think about what were you trying to communicate with your audience. I want you to take about 15 minutes or so to do that. So let's wrap things up. When it comes to media, everyone's trying to get a message across. No one's really posting just to post. Even if it is as simple as, I look really good today and I want to post this selfie. There's a reason. You could have taken a picture and kept it to yourself. You wanted to post it because you wanted other people to see you. You thought you looked good and you wanted other people to see that. As you go through your day-to-day scrolling, I want you to really pay attention to what you can learn from a simple post. Take the time to think about what it is that poster is trying to communicate. Are they doing it very effectively? And is it potentially swaying some things or influencing how you think or go about your day? And here, these are my references that I did use in this. Thank you, and I hope this was helpful.